Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Library, where Star Wars is in print, the Force is with the readers, and our interlude between the 80s and the 90s finally ends with this episode. I'm your host, Nathan P. Butler. This time we're taking a look at a very oddball publication, but it's one that, since some folks had asked about it, I decided that I would put here into the show to give you a quick glimpse at what you're missing if you've never seen it. What we're looking at this time is the so-called Kenner Imperial Troop Transport Booklet. It's sometimes called a comic, but it's not really a comic book, but you might call it an illustrated prose story booklet. That is this. I've got a used copy here, pretty beat up. I got it for cheap. It looks like somebody actually wrote on the inside of it. I don't know, whatever. Suffice to say, this is a little booklet that was included with the Kenner Imperial Troop Transport toy. If you're not sure what the Troop Transport is, it's this thing here, right, where you had the little slots on the sides where you could stand up your very unposable Kenner Star Wars action figures back in the day. It's released back in 1979 and supposedly tells the story of the stormtroopers that were sent out to hunt down R2-D2 and C-3PO during the early phases of A New Hope. Only, that's not really what it does. Vader, and the way he's drawn here makes him look more like a skull, more like he's like, dirt. You know, just kind of looking at the way that his eyes and mouth are drawn, it just doesn't look like him. It looks like some kind of a low-rent version of Vader there. Anyway, Vader sends out the stormtroopers to go find the droids, telling them either come back with the plans, the Death Star plans, or don't come back at all, which was one of the few things of this that was referenced actually later on. We find them go out on dewback, of course, as we see in the film, especially in the special edition version where we get the better done dewbacks. They go out in their Imperial Troop Transporter. And I like the fact that when they talk about dewbacks or transporters, check out there. It's got the little TM, the trademark on there, most of the time that they're mentioned, or at least the first times that each thing is mentioned. They trace them back to the Jawas. They attack the Sandcrawler, banga, banga, banga. And upon discovering who the Jawas sold the droids to, they blow up the Sandcrawler. Bum, bum, bum. Only, this really doesn't work out the way it's supposed to. First off, they're in the Imperial Troop Transporter when they attack the Jawa Sandcrawler. This is said to be a hover type of vehicle, a repulsor lift type of vehicle, and yet there are animal tracks, bantha tracks, that are found when Luke and Obi-Wan and the droids actually find the Sandcrawler. Now, granted, that could have been done later on to try to make it look like it was sand people as opposed to stormtroopers, but we get another story to explain that away, so this kind of gets tossed out the window. Also, they blow up the Sandcrawler, but it is still intact when Luke and Ben find it. It's in bad shape, but it certainly doesn't have a gaping freaking hole blasted into it. And my favorite, they find out that it was sold to, let's see, they had many droids in their inventory, but not the ones Darth Vader wanted back. 2 droids were looted from the cargo bay and placed in the droid prisoner compartment, which is part of the toy, for further questioning. A sale had been recorded to one Owen Skywalker of 2 droids for his moisture farm. That's right, Owen Skywalker. Now, granted, in the film, we get Uncle Owen, Aunt Beru, and Luke Skywalker. We don't hear the name Lars, so it makes sense that they would say Owen Skywalker, that they might think that that was the character's name, but it's not. So really, for quite a few continuity issues in just a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 story page booklet with a 6th page that's just art, there just really isn't a lot of there. And the there that's there has all kinds of issues. So this is not necessarily one you'll want to check out, one you'll want to find, but for a collector, if you're looking for early Star Wars stories, this is one of them. Just don't pay too much for it because it's not all that great and not particularly super collectible without the toy and the box and everything that came with it. It's much more valuable as part of the toy package than as its own little booklet here. So, the Imperial Troop Transporter. Is this an essential read? Absolutely not. You can ignore this one as if it never existed, which is pretty much what the rest of continuity has tended to do most of the time, and you won't really be missing anything. With that, we'll wrap up this episode and this interlude, with 3 supplemental episodes to go before we run into the 1990s. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the readers.